Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review for tonight's match review of Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 0. Now, it is just me starting the show. The other three are backstage, but I wanted to start the show tonight to actually say a couple of things with what's been sort of going on the channel. Basically, Alex, obviously, yesterday suffered some abuse towards him. It wasn't feedback, it wasn't an opinion, it was direct abuse, and we on this channel, we don't accept that at all. Now, I am sick and tired of putting these shows together with Alex, with Billy, with Sam, and we just get absolutely hammered. Negative. I've been called toxic towards Newcastle United today, and all sorts of garbage like that. And I'm fed up with it, to be honest, guys. I know it's a minority, but it has to be addressed because those minorities can turn into snowballs very, very quickly. And I just sort of had enough of it. We put a lot of effort into these shows. Alex does a lot of behind-the-scenes work, and I do apologize to Alex because I should have come out and said something when that comment came in, but I literally didn't see what it said. I didn't understand what had happened. Me and Alex cleared that up at the end of the show. However, this basically is a channel to talk about Newcastle United, and whether it's positive or negative, and we will always be honest on here, and we've said that many, many, many times. But when it comes to abuse and personal insults from people watching, it puts you off. You know, you kind of think, why the hell are we doing this? What are we doing this for? You know, we enjoy it. We enjoy talking about Newcastle United. In fact, we love it. We love everything we do on here. But when we get personal insults directed our way, you kind of sit back and you think, is this all really worth it for all the insults and abuse that we get? You know, and again, I'll reiterate, it's only a couple of percentage of the people watching, you know, but the fact that it was a member that made that comment yesterday, that kind of hurt even more, because as a member of the channel, I would expect a little bit more decency. Now, people come at me saying, oh, you don't support other people's opinions. Yes, I do, but I can disagree with them. You know what I mean? I don't have to agree with your opinion. You don't have to agree with mine. Just like, you know, me and Alex don't agree sometimes on the show, or me and Billy don't agree, but that doesn't matter. You know, it's how you communicate with each other. That's the issue. You know, I've got my faults. Everybody's got their faults. You know, sometimes I'll fly off the handle, but you know what it is? I need to work on that as well. But so does everybody. You know, and at the end of the day, we've got a lot of subscribers to this channel who like what we do day in, day out. And not only do they see it great to talk about Newcastle United, but it's great for the mental health and everything like that. We've had people say that a lot of the time. And then all of a sudden, you get people coming on, throwing abuse, calling us toxic, negative Toon review, toxic Toon review, all of this kind of stuff. And you kind of think, you know, where do you draw the line with being honest? Where do you draw the line with giving your honest opinion of what you're seeing on a football pitch? And it's football at the end of the day. It's not life or death. It's football. And when I see my colleagues getting abuse, or I see myself getting abuse, that hurts my family. It's not on. And it shouldn't happen in this day and age. It's a bit pathetic. I know there's trolls out there, but I'm not talking about the trolls. They can do one, as far as I'm concerned. I'm talking about legitimate people throwing insults. Now, from now on this channel, basically, we are not taking any more of it. If there's any nasty insults come towards any of the hosts or anybody backstage on this channel, you will be banned. It's as simple as that. But from the point of view of this channel, I need to learn to, you know, read and, you know, respond to opinions in a more positive way, rather than say, you know, what I normally do. But I don't disrespect your opinions. You know, everybody has one, and everybody has been able to have one on this channel since day one, and that will never, ever stop, right? What I want to stop now is the abuse, because it's damn well unfair. It's not nice. Even if you disagree, there's a way with communicating with people to disagree. You know, agree to disagree in a way, talk about it. But people just come on and throw insults at us and throw opinions without explaining that. How can you have a conversation if you don't explain what you're talking about? It's very difficult. You know, as I say, we love what we do on here. And from now on, you know, we just want to have a nice channel, a nice family-orientated channel where people can come on and feel free to talk about what they want. Some people have even messaged me today saying they're frightened to put comments in case they get jumped on by other people in the chat. That's not how we want to work on this channel at all. You know, we are probably one of the very, very few channels that reads as many comments out during the show as we possibly can. Other channels you watch, they don't have any regard for the chat. They don't read the chat out at all. But we do. But it's going to come to the point where we're just going to put members only or something like that. And that spoils it for everybody. But from our side, we want to know, well, basically from our side, we will put things right here. You know, we will just sort of read your opinions. And even if we disagree with it, we just move on. We go for, you know, whatever. But any personal insults coming at us our way now, you will simply be banned, because enough is enough. It wasn't fair to Alex yesterday. He didn't even come on at the end of Matchday Live last night to do his analysis because he was so sick of it. And that's perfectly understandable, because I've been back and I've seen what was put, and it's not right. And the insults that I get on Twitter or wherever it may be, you know, I've been trolled for years and years and years. But, you know, it's the odd one, you know, not the known trolls, the odd few that come on and just say, oh, you know, he's a fat wanker, he's this, he's that. Somebody even put to me the other day, so, oh, don't worry, Parkinson's will have killed him soon. How dare you? What a thing to say, saying that my illness is going to kill me off soon, so don't worry about it, the channel will be dead. Well, even when I'm long gone, I've got people who will take on the channel, no problem at all, so it's not going to go anywhere. But bringing people's health into it and things like that, and then a comment coming from someone else who runs a channel today aimed at Billy Trey, disgusting, as usual, trying to bring attention to himself. It's all a load of crap. So from now on, we are doing what we do. We'll do it our way, but we want a family-orientated channel, and that's it. That is it as far as it goes. We're going to get on with the review now, but I just wanted to start the show like that because I felt like I had to say something, because it's getting out of hand. Nobody is not entitled to an opinion. Everybody can say what they want, whether it's Eddie Howe in, Eddie Howe out, or we're playing badly, we're playing well. It doesn't matter. It's your opinion. It's our opinion. So let's just agree to disagree if you don't agree with everybody, but let's keep the chat clean and let's keep the show clean. And let's just have a nice channel where everybody can get together nearly every day of the week and come together as a big family and talk about the club that we love. That's all we want. But I'm not coming to the point where I'm getting up on the morning thinking, do I really want to go on a camera today? Do I really want to do this? Do I really want to? I'm not the only one that feels like that, so it needs to stop. But we can work on our problem. We've got problems at our side that we need to work on. Of course we do, but it's a learning curve. Everything, every day on this YouTube channel is a learning curve. And, you know, we will get there. But to everybody else, thank you for your support. And I really do mean that from the bottom of my heart. There's some very, very good people on this channel who subscribe or just view or are members. Whether you're viewers, subscribers, members, it doesn't matter. You're all part of the Toon Review family, and we thank you so much for that. And we do appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts. We really do. Because without you guys, we're nothing either. But you've got to draw the line somewhere. But thank you very much for that. Let's bring the other guys on now. So good evening to Alex. Good evening to Billy. And a return to Sam.
Hey.
Good evening, guys.
Good evening. Good
Hello.
evening, everyone out there.
Indeed. So we're talking about another defeat, guys, unfortunately. I mean, look, me and Sam did our reaction on YouTube last night. You guys did the one on Patreon. I mean, Alex, we'll start with you. How are you feeling about everything, you know, 24 hours down the line?
Deflated, disappointed, but to be completely honest, I don't think we were 100% off the mark with the tactical approach. I thought a couple of tweaks and we would have been in that game, and it's a shame. I did disagree with some of the personnel selection. I don't think Bernard Longstaff should have started. However, it was just a couple of lapses of judgment from Willock's positioning and obviously Botman's clearance. So there's a couple of user error things that they can work on in training. And then I would have liked to have seen a little bit more oomph, trying to get the ball back a little bit more and try and get us an extra few shots, a few attacks, a little bit more of the ball, maybe 5% additional possession, a bit more tenacity. And that might have been enough to have us in that game. And unfortunately, it wasn't there. But there were more positives from the City game than there were in the previous games because they were awful. Whereas at this one, at least a lot of people were better tactically. But there were things we could improve on.
Yeah.
But again, it's another one.
I don't actually think that some of the passing and movement was quite good in the first half, really, but we didn't have that killer instinct.
Yeah, there were some positives. It was the 2 goals. It's essentially it was Willock and Byrne getting their wires crossed, and Willock not defending wide that got that first goal with the wicked deflection. That took the sting out of the game. It wasn't quite as exciting then, and then the second one as well with Botman's clearance. It just killed the game. I thought we definitely if we could have managed to hold out, and again it's about defending too deeply. I mentioned this beforehand that when we played PSG away, Eddie Howe stated, he made a point of stating, I didn't want the team to sit that deep. We just backed off too much. So I wonder whether it was the same against Man City. Maybe he doesn't want them that deep, but maybe they just go into that shape sometimes.
Yeah.
I think there were positives, but there's fortunately a lot of what went wrong you can work on in the training ground. So as long as we see some improvements on those things that went wrong, i.e. Willock's positioning, Botman actually getting his arms out and heading things properly, maybe passing to Gordon and Isak, spreading the attack. There's a few things we can work on there. So as long as we work on those things, we'll see what happens.
Couple of super chats before we come to you, Billy. Mary, thank you for yours. I support TTR fully, and you're right to speak honestly with heart. All the hosts, you have my support for your work. Potato Gamer, that's a very interesting name. Thank you for your super chat. I don't always agree, but I don't understand abuse. Lewis Potter, thank you for yours. Big up Alex and the team with a big heart. And Fozman has gifted yet another Toon Review membership. So thank you very much, Fozman. Yeah, look, it's not all about agreeing. It's how you agree to disagree. Simple as that. And like I say, we will work on that from our side. And as long as we see it, how can I get to see Billy? Who put that up there?
Me, just so you can answer it.
Listen, Mr. Stato, man, right? I've had this conversation with you a million times about you putting bloody comments.
I didn't read it out. I just put it up so you could get to it.
It confuses me. The Patreon link is down in the description. So if you want to check it out, it's somewhere near the halfway, near the bottom-ish. It's in the description anyway for Patreon, but we are going to sort that out and get a clearer link to that while we're on the shows as well.
If you go on, just type in Patreon and find the Toon Review, it'll be on there.
Just search a Toon Review, you'll find us. Yeah, no problem at all. Chippers, thank you very much for yours. Super chat, supporting Paul, Alex, Billy and Sam, TTR all the way. And Keith Truscott, thank you for yours. Well said, Paul. Please know that the vast amount of us are really appreciative of the effort you all put in. Alex, big up, mate, to you. We all love your stats and comments you make, sometimes the calming voice. I
do appreciate that.
But it's we thank the effort that you guys put in as well. You turn up day in, day out to watch us, so the thanks comes from us as well. We're all one big community, and that's how I want it to stay, and I want it to grow like that. I want to be the biggest Newcastle channel out there. That is the ambition. So there's nothing wrong with having ambition, but to do that, we need to work on a few things as well, which we will. Billy, back to the game. I think the biggest talking point of the match for me is the fact that, moreover, Sean Longstaff playing, was the fact that he played Dan Byrne as a left wing back. I mean, that's not right.
Once again, it's throwing a player under the bus, ask him to do something that he can't do, and it's even exacerbated by the fact that he's got a specialist wing back. What we saw last season at Chelsea on the bench. I just felt the way we went about that game yesterday, I could understand it to a certain extent. Possibly playing for penalties. I don't know if it was as negative as that. But you could kind of equate it for me to a side near the bottom of the table, near the end of the season, going to Man City, trying to keep the goal difference down. It was a cup tie. We showed no real intent of trying to win that game, and it was a cup tie, and that's what really disappoints me.
Yeah,
negative approach from the manager, negative selection as playing Dan Byrne at left wing back.
Yeah,
making Sean Longstaff play through an injection again. It's just more and more of the same, and it's just getting worse each week for me.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Sam, isn't it? We're digging Sean Longstaff every week until the club finally come out and tell us that he's been injured, and he's nowhere near at his best, and it must be causing him a lot of distress because Billy pointed out the other week that the ball hit his ankle and he went down hurt. So there's all of that as well. But then when you look at Dan Byrne playing left wing back, somebody put on social media after the game last night, various clips of Lewis Hall playing left wing back for Chelsea, and was absolutely superb. And someone asked me today saying, why would he play Lewis Hall there? Because he's hardly played, but he's played that position. Dan Burn hasn't, and Dan Burn is not a left wing back in a million years. He hasn't got the athleticism to do it for one. I don't know what to say about it.
Well, we saw it, didn't we? We saw it for ourselves, and I think it was safe to say that within the first 5 minutes, Hall had an impact. And you know what? It was probably the first time in the game I thought, oh, I'm excited here. It was actually great to see the mystery man himself actually coming on, but to have, the drive, the force, the press for the ball as well. And I think for me, after, doing the pre-match, I was absolutely foaming with so many aspects of it. I think, the five at the back thinking, yes, we'll go for the counter, but I felt like we almost wanted like an award for showing up. I don't think we wanted to go there and win. I have to say that the early press was quite encouraging to see, and then it just seemed to drop off a cliff again after the first goal.
It did. A couple of super chats with Geordie Rick. Thank you for yours. Paul Stato, Billy Sam. Don't change what you don't need to work on. Anything we watch, because you're all real with passion for the Toon. Greg Wheeler, thank you for yours. You lot are doing a bang-up job. People are quite happy to attack others because they haven't got the bollocks to put themselves out there. Me and my family will always be watching. Get yourselves a drink on us. Thank you, Greg. That's really kind. Keith Truscott again. What happened to us not turning up to be friends, but we're here to compete? That's been forgotten. Peter McCardle, thank you for yours. You are the best Newcastle channel. Disagreements happen, but personal abuse is not on. You are all appreciated. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Peter. And Graham Ritchie says, great show as always. Well done, lads and Lady Sam. Big game against West Ham coming up, indeed. Alex, we'll obviously, sorry, there's another one just come in there. Niall, thank you very much for yours. Keep being you. This channel tells it like it is, and no matter. No managers beyond reproach when they're underperforming. But Alex, if we look at the setup last night, and you see, me and Billy noticed it certainly during the first half. Sven Botman, he's clearly not fit. He's gone off injured again, but his mobility was lacking last night. And what worries me is Billy pointed out during commentary that when he gets the ball, he looks like he's got a hot potato in his hand. He's really panicking, whereas before he got injured, he was so calm and collective with the ball, but we're just not seeing that now. And we don't know how long he's going to be out for now, if it's going to be another injury crisis.
Is it confirmed that he's injured, or? Well,
he went off injured. He went off limping because he'd done his knee again, didn't he? So it's a worry.
Yeah, I mean, it's another situation of, I mean, is this what was wrong with him originally? Potentially. Mm-hmm. But for you to have I really don't understand the comments from the club about Sven Botman, because I think it's agreed that it was an ACL, wasn't it? It was confirmed that it was ligament.
Well, they did say, well, what they said was he played 2 games with an ACL injury. That was the quote from.
So when they say an ACL injury, we'll have to check the wording, but I don't quite understand how you can be rested for a few months. And is it one of those that's, again, we're not doctors, but maybe a decision was made that it wasn't too far gone where it required surgery, and they're trying this approach, and maybe it's not kind of working, because there's always that option, isn't there, that where you don't operate on a certain kind of injury and rehabilitate and rest. But he's not right, and yeah, you're right. He lost. Recently, he looks like he's lacking 5 to 10% agility, just speed, decision-making, positioning. Well, that speed's not too bad, but it's just general mobility seems a little bit down, and that's bleeding through into his decision-making as well. Because he got the Rolls-Royce name.
For his calmness on the ball.
What was his name when he was in the youth academy at Ajax? They called him RoboCop because he was just an absolute monster, and his decision making was so far ahead of his years. But now it just seems like that's kind of bleeding into his decision making as well. But some of the recent things, I mean, I wouldn't say a couple of the recent mistakes aren't down to injuries and decision. Well, it is decision making. It's the really poor clearance last week. Who was that against Chelsea? And then it was the headers from yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm sick of all this arms behind your back nonsense. I appreciate that you don't want to give away a penalty with a handball, but again, the rules as written are: if your arms and hands are in the silhouette of the natural position you're actioning, it's not your fault. It's not a handball. It's not a penalty. And we just, I feel like two or three recent things with Botman were in his control to fix, but the injury is going to be terrible. But to be completely honest with the way he's playing, I wouldn't mind 3 or 4 matches with Lascelles and Cher just to see what happens.
Interesting. Karia, thank you for being a member for 2 years and 2 months. Thank you so much for that. I love Paul, Billy, Alex, and Sam. You all at the Toon Review. It's so good to see you, and you're all good mates. Jens, thank you for your super chat. He says, I have to speak out. These bullies and nasty people, get the F out of here and find a new hobby. And by the way, Alex, I'll have a Polish beer for you, mate. Cheers. Thank you very much for that. I put a poll in the chat again just for 20 minutes or so, and then we'll do a man of the match one as well, because I want to see where people are sitting with Eddie Howe now. Was yesterday over the edge? Was it not? I'm going to keep that up there for about 20 minutes, and then we'll have a look at that, and then we'll do a man of the match one. Evermore NUFC, brilliant channel, by the way. If you haven't seen them, go and check them out. Absolutely brilliant. Massive friends of this channel. And I know he takes a lot of crap as well for speaking real. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Huge support from us. The abuse is shocking, and there's a huge reason people are scared to voice an opinion these days. Love the fact you speak your mind. Keep it up. Thank you very much, guys, and thank you. And as I say, check them out. Peter, thank you very much, PD Proudlock, for a super chat. He says, keep up the great work as always, guys. What disappoints me about yesterday as well, City didn't have to get out of first gear. And I think that's the thing, Billy. I don't think Manchester, certainly second half, I don't think City were very good. The passing was going missing.
They didn't need to be.
Well, no, but what I was saying is, it would have been nice to see us put a few tackles in. I know Cher put one in, should never have been booked for that, but we didn't see enough of it, did we? No,
we just sat back in a 5 and a 4, didn't we? And nobody pressured the ball. Not one person pressured the ball at any time until the subs came on. And then when the subs came on, Lewis Hall actually came out to meet the ball and forced them into mistakes. And we looked a better side then, and we looked a bit more threatening. But yeah, it was just so passive. Passive's the word I'd use.
Yeah,
it looked like they hadn't trained in that formation all week. To be honest, that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah,
it looked like they were like traffic cones on the pitch in defence.
Yeah, absolutely. Now there's over 1,000 watching, so just to let you guys know that starting on Wednesday night is our brand new show, How Are the Lasses? We are going to start covering the women's team on a weekly basis. It's going to be on a Wednesday night with me and Sam talking about the women's team, who, of course, staged a fantastic comeback today to beat Wolves 3-2 away from home and extend the massive lead at the top of the table. Incredible performance in the second half. So me and Sam will be talking about that. We'll be looking at the league table. We'll be highlighting some of the players. And I believe we've got a special guest, Sam.
We do indeed. Are we Tadar moment it? Or
yeah, you can Tadar it now.
Yeah, love that. Well, to kick off the first show, we've got somebody amazing coming along. Aaron Embleton. If you watch the ladies at all, Aaron does the commentary for Newcastle TV. She's absolutely fantastic. She's also recently been awarded her England Legacy Cap. She's had an absolutely fantastic career and is a really good friend of mine. So she's going to be coming along the show to tell us about her life at Newcastle now and about her amazing career so far. So I think it's going to be a really nice way to start the coverage on the ladies.
Exactly. So make sure it's 7 o'clock Wednesday night you tune in for me and Sam for our first ever How Are the Lasses show. Hopefully we'll get it advertised on social media. We might get some of the lasses actually watching and hopefully come on the shows in later weeks. Certainly, if Aaron's on, she can certainly give them a heads up as well. So that would be great. Derek is in the chat. Interesting, the TTR and True Faith have got the best 2 female pundits in the biz, yet the mainstream persists with the toxic 6 acolytes. Well, yeah. Lascelles has been brilliant this year, says Adnan. I thought he was very good yesterday, Sam. He was very commanding in the air. He made a couple of errors Certainly one that was played through for, I believe it was Doku, but he did get back, and Doku's finish was awful anyway. But are you with Alex? You wouldn't mind maybe seeing Botman come out of that back four if he goes back to a back four, of course, and plays sharing the cells?
Yeah, we relied on Lascelles a long time, and I think, do you know what, when we did see him yesterday, that was, you know, I definitely saw sparks of the intensity that I would have liked to have seen from the rest of the team. I think we were relatively lackluster throughout, and it was a really bloody frustrating watch, actually, and I'm sure a lot of people felt really the same. I felt like we just sort of lay off, let them have it, and at least it was great to see him getting in and getting some tackling in there and getting some desire going, because when we didn't have it, oh my goodness, it was static and stale. Bad to watch.
Yeah. Alex, there's a few comments coming in saying that when he made the substitutions, it kind of proved that he'd sort of, you know, put the wrong team out, because you know, Anderson clearly could have started the game and gone off later on. Certainly Miley as well. And you know, if you look at the way we played when those subs came on, we turned into a very different team.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know what I think it is. Is it the leadership group? Is it the fact that Longstaff and Byrne are local and Byrne's part of the leadership group? I just don't know what it is. Or does Eddie Howe truly believe they are the right fit for these games, recent games, and is the best choice, and they've been performing better in training? Yeah, maybe. I can't see it personally. I'm confused by it, but again, I'm not the manager, so it's none of my business. But I'm confused by it. I personally wouldn't say it's an admission of the fact that he's picked the wrong team at all. I think it wasn't working. People were getting a little bit tired. Therefore, make your common options, and he did that. He brought on what he was meant to bring on. What he wasn't going to bring on, like Dummett and Target, to chase the game. So he brought on the only things he could bring on. He made 5 subs. It's just, again, we're just missing. We're missing. Billy's mentioned this a couple of times about tackles. We needed tackles. We needed to chase the game a bit more, and it all comes down to having combative midfielders. I appreciate there were a few things going wrong at the moment. With Barnes not playing, Botman being a bit wobbly, Pope still not back in the team and still injured. There are a few, obviously, other things wrong. But the fundamental thing that's wrong, in my opinion, is not having tenacious midfielders. Having Willock back a few weeks ago highlighted that massively, because we went from being super stretched and having a massive gap in midfield. We've not seen that as much in the last 3 weeks. Funny that, it's because Willock's back in the team. And we're just missing that little extra bite. Again, Tonali or Joe Linton. Hopefully Anderson, if he can get fully whirring and into gear and playing in midfield. But we just need somebody with a bit of oomph, because Longstaff did it to a level, not a great level, but a reasonable level. And now he's injured. He's not even at the reasonable level. It's well below average. So we're not getting any output like that from Longstaff at the moment. We just need a combative midfielder. The season-long Joe Linton injuries destroyed us. Pope, you can mitigate tactically. You can change lines. You can change structure. But you can't just say to one player in midfield, go and tackle more. If they can't do it, they can't do it. If they're not good enough to do it, they're not just going to be able to switch it on. Whereas he can change lines and shapes and mitigate for Pope being out. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know how we fix that. I mean, Eddie Howe tried to do what he tried to do in set up in a defensive structure and try and counter. I don't think he did an awful lot wrong. I just didn't like the Byrne and Longstaff decision. I know what Billy's saying, but how do we get more of the ball? If we don't have the players to get more of the ball, how do we get more of the ball and be more attacking?
Yeah, I mean, Billy, you made a good...
You're never going to win it by standing back and watching them play with it, though, Alex. You've got to try at least put a tackle in somewhere. When Lewis Hall come on, he actually came out to the ball and forced them into mistakes.
Well, what worried me, Billy, is you said it during the first half yesterday, and basically said it. What have we been training on this week? Because we looked all over the place. There was times where Man City were playing the ball through, and our defenders were looking at each other, screaming at each other, asking where they should be playing. It was if, like you said, Billy, we hadn't really. What had we been training for if these guys didn't know where they were supposed to be?
It looked an alien concept to them. I've got to say, it looked an alien concept to them. It's obviously something they haven't done much of, because we saw the proof of it yesterday. Yeah, players were getting dragged out of position at times. I mean, they could have scored 5 or 6. Let's be perfectly honest about it. They could have easily scored 5 or 6. They didn't get out of first gear.
Well, Doku didn't have his shooting boots on for one. I mean, his finishing was dreadful.
Absolutely. And once we went 1 down, that was basically game over because, once you go 1 down, you've got to change something. You've got to do something different. It's a cup tie. You might as well lose 12-0 as 1.
Yeah,
absolutely. It makes no difference. There's no goal difference involved. So you've got to try and change your approach somehow. And we didn't really. And we did have players that threatened them. We created a chance. Isak probably should have scored. Wasn't as easy as what we thought it was, but probably should have scored. Had a great chance second half. Didn't get the ball under control properly. But that was kind of sporadic. And I thought we should have pushed it a little bit more. It doesn't matter if we lose 2 or 3 more goals. We didn't.
Yeah. Ian H, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. Welcome to Members Club, my friend. And Keith Truscott, thank you for another super chat. He says, how come Tino out with an ankle injury, yet we've been playing Longstaff with a constant ankle injury, including yesterday? That is a very, very good question, which unfortunately none of us can answer because we're not privy to finding out. But Sam, when we went into half-time, and we said this on our reaction show last night, coming back out, you'd expect a little fire in the bellies. And despite it being Manchester City, you would expect the players that, we do have some quality players. Some aren't good enough, but some we do have some very good players. But you'd expect them to come out after a roaring, shouting match with Eddie Howe, you would expect, after a lackluster first half, to come out with fire in the bellies, but we didn't touch the ball for 10 minutes.
Yeah, and do you know what was really disappointing for me? And I think this is, what gets people considering, are we Howe in, are we Howe out? I really think that those changes for those subs could have been made at half time, not at Eddie o'clock, as it always is. And I think we saw really a galvanised, changed game when the subs came on. I think other than that, there didn't seem to be any cohesion between any of the players, and especially on the defensive line. I think we commented on yesterday's show that I don't know if anybody else, let me know in the comments if you did, when everybody was looking around at each other like, well, what do we do here then? And I think, at the half time, I expected that better side to come out, like you said, the fire in the bellies, and it just didn't seem to happen until those subs came on. And yes, you've got Miggy for his pace and all of his other qualities that come along with him. But I tell you what, it was so refreshing to see Hall, and I really liked Anderson as well, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Miggy, 2 passes that he really should have made yesterday, which were dreadful, when he could have gone to create opportunities. But then again, he then did pick out. He did pick Isak out, wasn't it? It was Miggy that picked him out when Isak took a terrible touch in the box, and the chance just went down the pan.
Can you play that with his left foot? That's a difference. The other one, the other 2 had to be played with his right, and he just couldn't do it.
Very true. This and that says, if any of the team needs surgery, would you like them to get it done sooner or later? Well, for me, sooner. If Botman needs surgery, then he's going to be a big player for us next season. I'd much rather him have surgery now so that he can get himself sorted and back into pre-season, because he's the kind of player that we are going to need next season. Longstaff, I don't know what sort of part he's going to play next season, but for Botman, absolutely. And I think, they've took Nick Pope, they've got him sorted. They had to do that, I suppose. They had no choice. But with Botman, I would rather sooner than, I don't know about you guys, but I would certainly rather have him say, look, season done, get operated on, get yourself back fit again for pre-season.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. I certainly would prefer people to get in a lot earlier, and I do believe as a club we have a duty of care, whether players are here for a minute or whether they're here for the long term. We have a duty of care to look after our players, and again, this is where the medical team have failed. I think it was a really interesting comment earlier to say about, Tino's injury. So why have we been playing Longstaff with the same thing? Obviously, we don't know the severity, which I think is what's scaring me, because if Longstaff is playing with his injury, we don't want to risk Tino with the same type of injury. Then that tells me that Tino's going to be out a bit longer. And I think I read somewhere that he hasn't gone to warm weather training either, which also doesn't bode well. So we have to look after our players, and I think Botman hasn't been right since the first time he got injured. He hasn't been on his game.
Yep. Robbie Lee, thank you very much for your super chat. He says, beautiful people in the channel. Love you all. Thank you very much, Robbie. Much appreciated. It's a good conversation to have, Alex, isn't it? Because, you know, with the medical team and the situation that's going on, we expect a big sort of a big meeting in the summer of some sort to discuss what's going on with the medical team. But Botman's a strange one for me. They played him with that injury, then they didn't get him operated on. And it was clear that he was feeling the same knee last night before he came off. So it is a worry.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, there needs to be an entire overhaul. Well, overhaul, wrong word. Scrap that, not overhaul. There needs to be at least an audit. They need to have everyone in a room together with senior members of staff, with potentially representatives from the ownership. And they need to, as a medical team, they need to show their case in terms of injuries this season, because there will be a lot of things that weren't their fault, and there might be certain things that they made an educated and a decent guess on, and then there may have been other things that they got wrong. But they need to go through everything case by case, the entire lot, and then people in a higher position need to make decisions about whether we need to add to the staff, replace staff, get some new assistants, new equipment, new something. But you know, maybe it is a case of they did make the right decisions with the information they had at every step this season. That's possible. It doesn't feel like that's probable, but it's still possible that they still made the right decisions and it's just gone very wrong. But there needs to be a proper meeting in the summer to do with the medical team to go through all of this. Whether it was just unfortunate and everything gets explained and they go again next season, or whether they get supported and additional staff recruited. But something needs to be, there needs to be some kind of check. Not necessarily accountability, because maybe they've not done anything wrong, but it needs to be thoroughly investigated. With a club of this size, and the amount of moving parts and money in this and people employed by the club and fans around the world, it needs to be looked at under a microscope. It really does. It has to be done better.
I mean, is there any worry in you, Billy, about Livramento? Because Sam made a good point there. You know, they're leaving Longstaff on the pitch with an ankle injury, and as soon as Tino gets one, he's not even in the squad. So does that say that he's got a bit of a serious injury to his ankle? I don't know.
Potentially. I just think that they think they're less versed in cover in midfield, and that's why Longstaff's been playing over and over again. Why he didn't get operated when he actually had it, the injury occurred at Everton last year, I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't know. But obviously, then they needed to get back in the side just to get through to the end of the season. But then you've got the whole summer to have an operation. Why not have it then? You know, it's strange. It's strange how they've kind of let it go fester and fester and fester. And now he's going out with cortisone injections every week. Yeah, it's not right on the player. It's not right on the team either.
Just to add to that, it might not only be the medical staff. A few people have mentioned that in the chat, and rightly so. How much of it is the coaching staff and Eddie making decisions? How much of it is the players as well? The players themselves. There's probably a lot of moving parts to these decisions. It's not just the medical team. How do we know that the medical team have not said, right, you've got two options, option A and option B.
Yep.
We'll give you these two options, and these are the outcomes and possible outcomes. And maybe Eddie Howe and the players are picking the risky of the options that they're given. It's not necessarily completely down to the medical staff. You know, they're very educated people. They will be giving them a few options and letting them know what the risks are. And maybe it's again, this is why there needs to be an entire investigation, so the owners can go, right, X, Y, and Z went wrong because Eddie overruled and chose the riskier options, or maybe it was all of the coaching staff decision, or maybe Longstaff or Byrne or so-and-so got injured because they as a player cleared themselves too many times. It's a really, really, really big thing. It's not just physios aren't good enough. It's way bigger than that.
Yeah,
I know it's hypothetical, but had Sandro Tonali been available to play, maybe Sean would have had his operation.
Well, maybe we wouldn't have seen Sean as much anyway, you know, but I mean, that's, as you say, it's hypothetical. Sam, I'll put you on the spot with this phone from Claire. Why does Eddie not sub sooner? It's so predictable. He gives players who are poor an extra 15 minutes.
I mean, it's an old thing, isn't it?
I've got, honestly, it's one of my pet peeves, and unfortunately fueling the Eddie out fire. And I think again the sort of clock watching, tick down until it's too late. I think there's a lot to be said for the lineup. Obviously, Burn as wing back, and I do appreciate a change in system, like trying something new. I wish we could have lost with a lot more grit and a lot more vigor to what we did. If we're going to go out, gonna go out in a burn of glory. I would rather take a walloping than go out to second gear Man City the way we did, not even tackling, not even pressing or trying to get the ball. But in terms of why Eddie doesn't, it seems to make them on the clock, I don't know. I wish we could have started Hall, damn it. Never mind subbing him in. That would have been great.
Exactly. Nathan says, hi all. Amber is so happy Sam is back. She wants to tell Sam her belly is much better now, but her granddad has a bad one now, so
sweet.
Well, I hope you're well, Amber. Maxie joins us in the chat saying Doku is a good player, but he's not me.
Exactly.
Well, I might come back and say, well, he looks exactly like you, Maxie. He can take on the world, but can't finish his dinner. But I don't want to upset Alex, but I probably already have with that one. Daniel says Lacella's done a good job when he's came in, so he's more than capable to step in if Botman needs surgery. Listen, there's two things I want to discuss now. Is Pep Guardiola's comments. Did you see what he said to Eddie Howe at the end of the game?
Apparently.
Well, Howie, Alex, man.
Lip reading.
Yeah, but you don't have to be a lip reader to understand what he said there.
I watched it a couple of times on my phone. I'm not 100% convinced that's what he said.
I am, but because it probably did surprise Pep. But that's the kind of manager.
Well, what did he say? Because there might be people who haven't seen
the
video.
It was along the lines of, you don't normally play like that. What happened? And I mean, it's right, because we don't normally play like that. And I think but I think Pep is a much more sort of gung-ho manager, isn't he? He's on the, look at him on the touchline last night when his team was still winning and cruising through the game. He's still getting players to the sideline. He's still screaming on the touchline. That's the kind of manager I just love watching, like Simeone, for instance. And as long as they don't take it too far, like Clipperty and Arteta do. But you never see Pep Guardiola doing that. Very, very rarely, anyway. But also, we're off to Australia to face Spurs on May the 22nd in a one-off friendly. Australia, guys.
We better be getting paid an absolute fat paycheck for that. Otherwise, that's very silly.
I mean, I don't get it. It's been a long, hard season, and now they want to sit the players right after they finish the season on a 24-hour jaunt across to Australia for one game.
We can send Paul Dummett and Kraft, and we can send all of them. It's fine.
That's not going to be the case, though.
But doesn't that kind of say to you, that's been arranged pretty quick, because the Cup final would have been May 27th. Yes. That's been arranged now, bearing in mind we were still in the Cup this time yesterday. Or, do you know?
It's a strange one.
Smack of, we're going out the Cup, let's get a friendly arranged.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Well, again, big project plan though, isn't it? Like this international, fan base hysteria that I think the timing's not very elegant, personally, off the back of last night. But part of the bigger plan.
It's not like they're going to be able to go and it's not a holiday. It's a one-off game of football.
I hardly think we're going to be able to like Irani Granny's mentioned it there. I know we need to get some more fans globally, but.
Well, Irani Granny says Spurs are taking Ange back to Ramsey Street.
But the issue is Ange is Australian anyway, so anybody in that side of the world is going to be rooting for Spurs and Ange. So we're going to be the enemy in that fixture, and I'm not sure how much we're going to grow. It doesn't really make sense unless we're getting an absolute fat paycheck. Like I said before, I really don't see the point in that.
We road trip. Taking Gavan Kowal with us,
maybe.
Toon review road trip, anybody?
Bloody hell, mate. Count me
Susan!
in for that.
Of course,
better start walking now.
I'm not allowed to go to
I'm not going if Billy's going to do that accent. No.
Fucking hell, mate.
My
shrimps on the barbie and everything's great, mate.
Okay, thank you very much, Billy. That was astounding.
I think your Mancunian's better, Billy, to be honest.
Yeah,
that's not word Mancunian.
Predator, good evening. Absolutely love the channel, and you have my full support. Were there for me when I started going through this aneurysm, and always wished me well. Proud to be a member, and always will be. Thank you, Preds, and we hope your continued recovery is going well. Up there one says, sorry late, so gone back to the beginning and just caught the start. Thumbs up to the TTR family. Very sad that this had to be addressed. You're all doing a great job. We love this channel. Thank you. And I know you and the family are a huge part of this channel as well. And it's always nice to see you at St. James's Park as well. George is just catching up, but great integrity from Paul. Thank you very much, George. Waldo says, so was there anything wrong with the medical team last season?
Well, no, we didn't get any injuries out of it, did we? Well, we had a 6-week break.
I think we were lucky. Yeah. And I think that played a big part, didn't it? The fact that we had the 6-week break for the World Cup.
Most of our big hitters didn't really play in the World Cup. A lot of them didn't. It wasn't too much of an issue. So, we had warm weather breaks and probably slightly more luck. We didn't have, because a couple of the injuries this year, you've got to think about sort of Murphy's shoulder, Pope's shoulder. A few things weren't training and lower body injuries. You can't plan for them. You can't do you can't do prehab and injury prevention work on a shoulder popping out. It's just really unlucky.
Yeah. Right, let's take a look at the poll results, shall we? And then we'll put one up for man of the match. Right. You guys have any clue what the poll might say tonight?
What was the poll?
I asked the question, where are you with Eddie Howe now? In, out, shake it all about. Well, I didn't say that. I said on the fence, but I knew you were going to say that, Billy, so I kind of jumped in. Where do you think the viewers are at the minute? Nearly 600 votes.
33% each way.
Really? Well, you might be surprised with this. 39% are in, 31% out, and 30% on the fence.
I mean, I weren't far off.
So
it's still pretty close, isn't it?
It's still pretty close, but I think the ins have gone up, actually.
For people have calmed down.
Well, yeah, there is that as well. Right, we're now going to do a poll for man of the match. So we're each going to put a team member up for man of the match. We'll start ladies first. Sam, who is your vote for man of the match?
Hall. I was just so pleased to see him.
Lewis Hall, yeah. Okay. Billy?
Jacob Murphy.
Jacob Murphy.
Good man.
Alex?
That means I can say Bruno, because we were going to say either or, so that's done that.
Okay. Right, that's left me in the shit.
Who was any good?
You know what?
No, it's one of the front two, surely. I mean, I don't think any other midfielders deserve it.
No, I'm going with Fabian Schär because I thought he was outstanding in the second half. So
I think that's a bad shout, personally.
Alex, there's no one else. There is literally no one else. Schär was excellent second half.
I think Gordon worked really, really hard off the ball, but nobody passed to him.
You can't give him man of the match for running around. That's the problem. I know.
We're giving Fabian Schär a shout for hitting no long balls, but
excuse me, but he defended very well in the second half. Thank you very much. In a quarter pounder, that
when he let Phil Foden just go.
Alex, did I question yours? Did I go on and question yours?
Well, mine was Bruno, so I should hope not.
Well, it doesn't matter, does it? That's my shout for man of the match.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm
also saying that I was left to pick last because I'm
in your defense.
I am the man of
there weren't many.
The man of compassion and consideration on this channel. So I decided to go last, which left me with very few options, shall we say? But that is the poll, ladies and gentlemen, for man of the match. We've got Lewis Hall, Jacob Murphy, Bruno, or Fabian Schär. The poll is now up. Let's see who the viewers' man of the match was as we will move into the player ratings. This should be very interesting. Yes, Alex?
Before we do that, I found something really interesting that you guys might want to see. It's revenue in from different sources for Man City versus us that I found. I don't know if you want to see it very quickly because it's relevant to this game. So it was from Lou Class on Twitter. And I just thought it was really interesting and worth having a look at on the show. Just the difference in what money we get, basically. And obviously the kit supplier, I think, stands out massively with Castore and 5 and Man City's Puma at 55. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
when people mention fair market rate, it's like fair market value. We had the ex-England captain and all-time Premier League top goal scorer in our ranks, not overly long ago, and we're a popular team globally. I think it's just ridiculous that they put in an arbitrary line in the sand in terms of what we can and can't be paid. But there's definitely money on the table to be had in terms of training kit sponsorship here, stadium naming rights and campus naming rights. Obviously, we haven't really got stuff like that sorted yet. I'm sure we will expand into fan zones and campuses.
This would be interesting, Alex, to look at the same time next season, actually, because I think it'll look very, very different, because I would imagine we'll have a training kit sponsor. Stadium naming rights, I mean, that's still up in the air. Campus, we don't. Well, I mean, who would want to sponsor our training campus?
I mean, we've used a lot of this money already. So the shirt sponsorship was used on the summer transfers, just gone. The sleeve sponsorship paid for Botman, because that is, funnily enough, basically bang on what his amortization fee is per year. And then the kit supply, obviously, I'm guessing the Adidas money. So the jump we get in this bit will pay for this summer's transfer spend, plus anything else we get. And fingers crossed we can sort some of this out. A few people on Twitter today mentioned, where's Peter, what's his name? Peter Silverstone, is that his name? Silverstone. Mentioning where's all this? And I to be fair, I kind of agree. We got into the Champions League. It was, strike while the iron's hot. It was prime time to try and go and get these. Whereas now, this summer, there's less for us to try and promote, isn't there? We're not in the Champions League next season, so we're not going to be able to push all of this stuff. So I'm a bit surprised we didn't try and get, we could have got these through the door earlier on, which was, I don't know. I don't know if you guys feel like that was a missed opportunity, but why have we not done it yet? I know you've got to wait for the right one, unless they're just waiting for new random miraculous Saudi companies to go and sponsor us, then fine. But who knows?
Well, Derek says there, all Etihad sponsorships, fair market value. You're having a laugh. Well, listen, they've got away with it, and they had those sponsorships in as soon as Etihad came on board, really. So there's nothing that anyone could do about that once it was done. But I'm very interested, certainly, to see if training kit. I can't believe that wasn't sorted out. I mean, that for me is staggering.
What would we get for that? 3, 4, 5, 6.
It depends who it's going to be, really. I mean, it depends who they're working in. I mean, we'll hopefully get some very, very big, well-known companies from across the world sponsoring us next season, and that'll be huge. But I mean, we just have to wait and see, don't we? If you
just look at the difference here, if we end up, how much is Adidas rumored to be? 40.
Yeah.
So 40 for Adidas coming in here. And then if we can somehow get 1 or 2 of these sorted in the summer, at least a training kit, plus contracts expiring, we could have a reasonable push in the summer, I reckon. I reckon we'll have more to spend than people are thinking, especially compared to what Eddie Howe's letting on. I think there's definitely some scope there.
Indeed.
I think you're right, Alex. I think that has been a missed opportunity, and I would definitely like to revisit this and see what the differences are. And because you often hear it. I had my dad ringing me at half-time yesterday going, I know, but it's Man City, they're the richest club in the world, man, that could spend back in the day. He doesn't talk like that, by the way, but this was my recap of the annoying conversation that we had. So I think it would be really great to sort of have a look and say, right, what really is the difference that money makes to the likes of the training ground, to sponsoring the kit and all that? I mean, maybe they were waiting for new facilities before they actually invited anybody new on board.
Well, we'll see what the summer brings, I guess. Claire's saying there that Eddie's already playing down the spending in the summer. Well,
remember we've got £30 million going out the kitty first all straight away anyway. So
yeah, so that but we'll see. I'm sure they're working behind the scenes to bring in new sponsors, and a lot of new sponsors and big sponsors for that. But let's
and if there's a player sale as well, and let's not forget, if somebody does trigger Bruno, we have all the money to spend. Preferably that doesn't happen, but.
Well, I know, but some people have been saying that maybe it would be a good thing to cash in on him, and it would be 3 or 4 players of quality for one player going out the door. But that's how football seems to work now, unfortunately. Right, let's start with the player ratings then, and again, ladies first. Martin Dubravka, Sam.
I didn't think he did anything particularly wrong. I think he was probably let down by the defence. Couple of good saves. I'd probably say 7.
Okay. Alex?
I think he played well under pressure. He handled the press pretty well. I'll give him a 6 because we did concede 2. Not that he was going to get anywhere near them, but I'm not going to give him any higher. And I kind of agree with what Billy said yesterday. I hadn't thought of this at the time, but he was right. I didn't like the whole shouting at Botman thing. He's a 24-year-old centre half who's in a new country. Dubravka's a seasoned veteran from Slovakia. He's probably worthy of being a captain or having the armband. I don't think he's done that, but he's been here for long enough.
For the way it went in, because maybe Dubs might have thought, maybe Zach could have done a bit better with that, and he's just sort of lashed out.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think Dubravka's a funny one in terms of his leadership. He's never had great leadership. I think again, it's one of the reasons why he's never had the armband.
True, Billy.
Yeah, I'll give him a 6 for exactly the same reasons. I hated the fact he shouted at Botman. It was an accident. Didn't do it on purpose. Whether he thought he made him look silly or not, I don't know. But irrespective, when you're it's a team environment, to kind of shout out your teammate on the middle of the pitch in front of national cameras doesn't sit right with me. So 6 for me.
I've gone with a 7. I was disappointed about the Botman situation. I initially thought he was shouting at Botman for his defending before we saw it take a deflection, that he didn't get out there quick enough or whatever. But I thought he made some very good saves last night, and again seemed to command the box very well, coming out and punching a few times, catching. So I wasn't too fussed with Dubravka, but it was disappointing that bit. But 7 for me. Let's move to right wing back now, and Jacob Murphy, Billy.
Yeah, I thought he acquitted himself really well. Defensively, pretty good. Got forward as well. Some great crosses put in, slightly off, just very, very slightly off.
Yeah,
but dangerous crosses all the same. I'll give him a 7.
Okay. Kevin's joined us saying, "Hi guys, I'm a Sunderland supporter, but I love watching your channel. It's great." Thank you very, very much, Kevin. You're very welcome. Alex.
Who, Dubs? I've already given him
Murphy.
Oh, you're right. We've moved on to Murphy. Sorry, I was looking at data. Sorry. Murphy. I really liked Murphy's performance actually yesterday. I loved that he busted a gut to track back the run of, was it Doku? And he matched his run, was physically strong. An audacious early ball as well from the right-hand side, which when he first went to hit that, I thought that's never going to get anywhere near any of our players. And it did. It bent round everyone. It was really nice. I really like Jacob Murphy. I think he's probably one of the few people that, he's got a longer contract anyway, but he can probably stay for another couple of years as a squad player because he's got a little bit of quality about him. He'll get up and down that right flank. I'm going to give him a 7. I thought he was fine.
He adores the football club, Jacob Murphy. You can tell he just bleeds Newcastle United. I've gone for a 7 as well. I thought some of the passing, some of the crossings he put in, make you wonder if Isak is an out-and-out striker, but we'll come on to Isak later on. I know Sam's got an opinion on him as well. George, thank you very much for your super chat. Is the training kit part of the Castor deal? Hopefully we have, where's that gone? Hopefully we have someone else lined up for next season.
Well, if we're getting 4 million, 5 million total for the kits and the training kits, that is a terrible deal.
Yeah, it's awful. It is awful. Sam Murphy?
Yeah, do you know what? A 7 from me as well. What I particularly like is that he seems to find really good space and actually has, the will and the drive to get forward on the ball. And he's always looking around. He's always looking to pass and get the ball forward, which I really liked. 7 from me.
Okay. Right, we'll move to the other side. Dan Byrne. Alex.
Tricky one. Because I don't think he did too much wrong. I know we all hated the choice, and obviously Lewis Hall gave us a little bit more oomph, but I don't think Byrne did anything wrong. I don't think he was at fault for that first goal. I think that was Willock's issue positionally that caused that. You can't expect Byrne to follow Kyle Walker into the box and also track Bernardo Silva, who's running at him. He can't do both. That's on Willock, that. So I'll give Byrne a 6. But I feel like that's generous because, again, we just don't really get a lot from him offensively. One nice moment was it in the second half where he headed it back across goal?
Yeah, if that was Isak's big opportunity.
First half. Yeah. So that, again, if that had gone in from Isak, we'd all be crediting Byrne for that. So it's not Byrne's fault that Isak missed. I think he deserves a 6. I don't think it was terrible from him. But, I would still prefer Lewis Hall to play. So,
well, I've gone with what most of the chat have put. I've gone for 4. I don't think he offered much at all yesterday. Yes, it was a good header back to Isak, but all in all, I think he got, when he was trying to get forward, he got in players' way. There wasn't any coherence on that left-hand side with Burn there. And I thought, Bernardo Silva just had him on toast. And how many times have we seen this so many times with Dan Burn? But it's not his, I think he's been thrown under the bus from Eddie, given the positions he's had to play. But it's not his fault. But a 4 from me. Sam?
5, and I'm probably being generous there, but I really do feel like he's been thrown to the wolves so many occasions this season, and playing him in that position was not fair to the lad, and he's now got to take the slack for it, and I just don't think that was fair. So I think he did okay for given that that's not his position.
Yep. One thing that really paid me off, though, was in the second half when Isak rolled it along the edge of the box and it was just itching to be hit first time. And then he then tried to pass it to Willock, I think it was, and it just rolled out of play. If that was Lewis Hall coming onto that, you guaranteed he would have hit that first time. It was a poor decision. Billy?
Yeah, I'll give him a 5. It's not his fault. He's not a left wing back as long as I've got a hole up my backside. Absolutely not. So it's not really his fault, but offered us little really apart from that header across goal. So for 5, yeah.
Yep. Right, we'll move to the centre backs now. Fabian Schär, Sam?
Do you know what? I'm going to give Schär probably a 7. I know we got the yellow card for that tackle, but I absolutely loved the intensity.
Never, absolutely
not a yellow card. I mean, we haven't even discussed the ref, like how horrendous, so many bad decisions, but I think that was the start of an avalanche of really shite decisions from that ref. But yeah, going with a 7 because that was the type of intensity I would have liked to see, would have loved to see more.
Okay, Alex?
I'll go for a 6 as well. Won every single duel, although I think that's generous because there were a couple of times that Foden did skip right past him and it just doesn't, for some reason, count as a duel. But I think Phil Foden would have skipped past.
Foden, mate. Yeah,
I think Phil Foden would have gotten past any centre half in the world with some of the flicks he did yesterday. Yeah. It was outrageous. I was really disappointed with the long balls. I thought Fabian Schär's distribution was absolutely shocking yesterday, and it was an issue because we'd set up tactically to hit on the break, and we haven't got Kieran Trippier. So the one guy in that back line that can ping a 60-yard ball is Fabian Schär, and he did none of them. And where he hit 2 that found a player, but there weren't the sort of stuff that we needed from him, unfortunately. He had a chance early doors and he played it. His first long ball attempt pinged it straight to Doku, and then we got hit on the counter, and then they were at us from that sort of early. Yeah, it wasn't great from him. Distribution wise, we needed a bit more. Defensively was fine. Loved the intensity. Loved the tackle. There wasn't a yellow card as well. Completely agree. However, I can't give him any higher than a 6 in my book because we needed his long balls. We're missing Trippier. Fabian, you need to step up and hit those long balls because nobody else is going to do it. So,
I've gone with a 7. I thought he was excellent second half, especially not so much on the distribution side, but his defending. I think he stepped it up in the second half and looked a bit more like the Fabian we all know and love. And I think he's very aware. I think that Botman isn't too good at the minute, and there's a couple of times that Schär probably moved over too far to help Botman at times, but that's not Fabian's fault. But a 7 for me. Bill?
Well, 30 seconds in from the kickoff, Eddie Howe's team talk have all been about let's get on the front foot, let's do this, let's do that. Ball was rolled back to Fabian Schär and he pinged it straight to Jeremy Doku, who's about 10 yards away.
It was awful, yes.
And had us on the back foot for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So distribution-wise, I thought it was poor. Defensively, okay. I'll give him a 6.
Okay. Right. Fabian Schär. Alex.
Just in Fabian Schär.
Sven Botman, maybe?
Sven Botman.
I mean, I think he was probably a similar level as Schär was, plus the mistakes. So I'm going to drop him down to like a 4, I guess, detract a couple of points. A couple of nice moments where he stepped up into midfield, snapping at heels. That was nice. A couple of really hard physical duels with Haaland, which is is really tough. 3 out of 4 aerials, and I think most of those were against Haaland. So 3 out of 4 against one of the best 9s in the world, if not the best 9 in the world. Now Lewandowski's kind of aging out a little bit. I'll give him a 4. There were loads of positives, but again, he needs a break. He's injured. His decision making's gone a bit funny, and the headers and the hands behind the back stuff we won't talk about. We've already had that conversation, but 4.
I'm good with a 4 as well. It just doesn't seem right for me. Having said that, I thought he won a couple of interesting duels with Haaland last night. And I don't know whether anybody else thought that Haaland just took the hoof last night. He just took the hoof. He didn't like getting roughed around. And
there's not many centre halves that can match him physically, really.
Yeah,
so he's not used to it.
Solid. I'm going to give him an extra point for that. I'm going to give him a 5 because he did rough him up a bit, and he clearly got Haaland because he was just in a huff for the rest of the game. Billy.
Well, on SofaScore last night, he was our highest ranked player, which I thought was odd. He had a 7, everyone else was 6s and below.
Good old SofaScore's player rating.
It's because of the pass, 89% passing accuracy, high dual win rate. It's stuff like that got him the extra points.
Yeah, but he's a player absolutely devoid of confidence. Whether that's down to the injury, probably is. Whether that's down to Dubravka behind him, probably fair as well. I think 5's fair for him.
Lady Sam?
I totally agree with the 5, and actually you took the words out of my mouth, Billy. Is it a confidence issue with Dubravka behind him rather than Pope? So 5.
Okay. And across to Jamal Lascelles. We'll start with you with Sam on Jamal.
Do you know what? I think it's a bit of a weird one. I did enjoy what I saw, probably a 7. Like I said at the beginning, I enjoyed that initial flurry of intensity that we saw. I think one of the only players on the field that played with some passion and some grip behind them. So I'm happy to say a 7.
Okay, Billy.
Yeah, I'll give him a 6. I thought he was adequate. I thought he was definitely up for the fight. Some nice professional, so we say, fouls. To kind of get us out of the shit.
Yeah.
But that's aware. It's been aware, isn't it? It's
of
being
course
aware
it
of what's
is.
around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Took it for the team.
We've seen recently players been let go and no fouls committed. I mean, we committed 6 fouls against Chelsea or 7 fouls against Chelsea, 6 against Arsenal. So a little bit of dirt into the side, which I liked. So yeah, 6.
I've gone with a 6 as well for similar reasons to what Sam and Billy have said. I thought he was solid. Listen, I won't have a problem with him playing the rest of the season if Botman gets the surgery or Botman's out injured. I think we can cope with Lascelles and Share perfectly well. I think he's improved under Eddie Howe, Jamal Lascelles. There's no doubt about that. But for a short stint in the team, I've got no problem with that. Alex?
There were a couple of issues.
And Simon Cowell enters the room, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, I'm sorry if we don't like facts anymore, but there were a couple of moments that we got away with them, and we can't just ignore them because it was fine and City didn't capitalise on them. We need to be careful with these kind of things. We can't hammer Botman for them and then not pick Lascelles upon them because it didn't result in goals. We've got to be consistent with it. I'll give him a 5 because he was on the whole fine. But again, we lost the match. We conceded 2. So I can't give the centre-halves crazy high scores. And there were a couple of funny, disciplined positional moments where he's got to be careful. I think he probably found himself out on the right a few too many times. Wires crossed, new shape. Murphy is his wing back, not Trippier. Even Livramento would have been a better option defensively. It's not Murphy's fault. It's just a lot of differences, a lot of new things. So fair enough. But a 5, I can't go any higher than that for him.
I don't think the back 3 did him any favours, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah, not all of it was his fault. It was. I think there were a few a few situations where the ball was sort of falling certain areas and players just didn't go for it. There were 2 players that were going to go. They weren't sure who was going to go, who was going to step, who wasn't. And the communication of the back, well, not even just the back 5. It happened a couple of times between Bruno and Longstaff as well. Yeah. Few strange situations where it was like they were new teammates. Willock and Isak as well. Yeah, it was. I know we've just changed the shape a tiny bit, but it was like they'd only just met each other yesterday morning. It was a bit odd.
Right, into the midfield now. We'll start with Bruno. Billy.
we couldn't fault him for effort. He was kind of on his own again against a rampant Man City midfield. So, okay, he gave the ball away a few times, but again, he was on his own most of the time. I'll give him a 6.
Okay, Alex.
I'm going to give him a 7. I've got to give him a 7. I thought he was brilliant. I know there were things he did wrong, but I'm not going to criticize him. I'm not going to criticize him for trying to drag the game up on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, he lost the ball a couple of times because he was the guy trying to make it happen, and I'm not going to mark him down for it. 4 accurate long balls from him, 3 out of 3 successful dribbles, and those were 3 occasions where he picked up the ball, literally dribbled through Manchester City's midfield, which people don't do, by the way. That's not something that people do. You don't pick the ball up and walk through Man City. And Bruno was like, "No, I'll just do it 3 times. Not a problem." The kid is a freak of nature. He's such a good talent, and we really need to he deserves a 7. He's incredible, and he's literally the only reason why we're not getting absolutely decimated in certain games at the moment. And we just need to cherish him.
I'll give him an extra point as well for that run back he did with Foden and stopped him from scoring, basically.
Yeah, he read that. Like he read Foden. He was the only person that saw that. Nobody else saw that, and he tracked Foden and matched him. And Foden is way quicker than Bruno. So Bruno positionally, physically to get in there and just make sure, because if Foden gets a yard, he's gone and he's going to score. So
yeah, I forgot about that.
I feel like Bruno had a really good game, and I'm not going to criticize him for trying to make that run and it doesn't work. Well, nobody else was doing it, so yeah, 7.
I've gone with a 7 as well. Exactly the same reasons. Sam.
Yeah, same again. I think that he had great anticipation throughout, and just I feel for him. It's like he's playing by himself out there at the moment and carrying.
Right, we'll move on to Joe Willock. I'm going to give Joe Willock a 3. I thought he was dreadful yesterday. We saw literally nothing from him. And, we need to see Joe Willock turn up for these big games, and he went missing yesterday. I know he's been off in a long layoff. Look, I'm not stupid, and but I expected more from Joe Willock yesterday. He did, Bruno basically had to carry 2 of the other midfielders, and it just wasn't fair to him. I thought he was really poor. Sam?
Probably about the same, a 3 or 4, just a passenger in the game. I didn't really see much of him.
You have to go for 1, though. You have to. You can't say 3 or 4. You have to give it. You have to say, is it the 3 or is it the 4?
Well, let's go for a 4 then.
Okay,
that's our full list, right?
Right. Billy.
It's not the type of game you want Joe Willock in when you're on the back foot constantly. Although he's in the side to get us on the front foot, he didn't do that at all, did he? And he was at fault for the first goal. Well, I'll give him a 3.
Right, Alex.
I'll give him a 3 as well, but I think there's context to it. You can't play him as a left winger and as a high 8 who's going to be leading your counter attacks, and then go, right, okay, today, Joe, I want you to be that guy who slots in next to Burn when people were driving at the box. He's never been good at that. I'm not going to overly criticize him for something we know he's never been very good at. We tried, when Eddie Howe first came in, he was tried in a double pivot with Longstaff, and he soon threw that well away in the bin, that idea, because it just didn't work. Willock can't do. Yeah, Willock can't do it. He's never been able to do it. I'm not going to. I know we're giving him a 4, but it's fine. It's not where if we put Anderson in the same place, and Anderson had to suddenly, if you put Anderson in that same situation a few times, I think Anderson probably makes a mistake as well. Possibly, I think it's likely. I just don't think the players that we've got available for that position right now. Miley possibly makes that mistake as well because he's very young. You need a Joe Linton or a Tonali, and again, Joe Linton's been a little bit guilty of stepping up sometimes, a bit too fast. So it's a 4, but I think there's massive context. Willock is like a wide, left wing / bombing 8. It's fine. He will make, if we make him play that again, he will make more of those mistakes, and it's just part of shoehorning a player.
Yeah, Billy, have you voted?
Yeah.
Right, Sean Longstaff. Where do we start with Sean? Sam.
Poor Sean, man. Poor lad. 3.
Okay.
But I thought it improved. It improved from last time. But yeah, just nothing. I'm not getting anything from him. Non-committal.
Alex?
Oh, okay, fine. It was a marginally better first half an hour. Marginally better. He was in the right place. He won us a corner, little bit more oomph, and then it just fell off a cliff. Paul, do you want to guess how many? I mean, hang on. I need to stop screen sharing because you'll see it otherwise in the backstage. How many passes?
Really,
do you
Alex,
reckon
with
Sean
my
made?
eyesight, you expect me to see that? Good
How many
Lord.
passes do you think Sean made?
How many passes?
Midfielder, linchpin midfielder, and he played over an hour.
4.
Well, it wasn't that bad, man. Bloody hell.
10.
He made 10 passes. Like it's and
I
Willock
can't
made
remember
9 to
making
be fair,
10
by the
passes.
way. So with those two between them, I'll give Sean. I'll give him a 2. I'll give him more than a 1 because his first half an hour was a bit better. And yeah, just zero crosses, 0 long balls. So this is why we need Cher because we're not getting it from anywhere else. He won 1 duel, 10 passes. 77% pass accuracy. He might as well have just not been there. We needed Miley.
Yeah.
Like if he's injured, fine, not his fault. But play Miley instead. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I've seen a few comments from Robert saying there that the commentator said we haven't mentioned Longstaff much tonight. He hasn't been mentioned much in the last few weeks. Billy?
Yeah, it was better, but I mean, it's a really low bar to jump over. Let's be fair. I mean, he was awful against Chelsea. He was awful against Arsenal.
It's one of those guinea pig bars you buy for the little guinea pigs to jump over in your garden, isn't it?
Probably below the ground bar, actually. Because it was -10 last week.
He's -10. Yeah, he's got a bit of a claim to get better than that.
So if you can't get over this bar, then he's struggling. But yeah, I thought he had a good first half an hour. Oh, fair. I'll say good. It was fair. I'll give him 3.
Yeah, I'm giving him a 3 as well. I thought I actually said during commentary, the first half an hour, he was winning. He was getting stuck in. He was winning. He won us a corner. He was getting forward, and I thought, yeah, this looks a bit better. But as Alex said, it went off a cliff after that, and he was never seen again. Right.
But again, let me just reiterate: another one that's been thrown into the bus by the manager.
Well, if he's injured, there's no doubt about that. I mean, look, I think Sean's ability can only go so far, but he can't get to that ability because he's injured. Right, the front two. We'll start with Anthony Gordon. Alex.
Really hard one to mark because I don't think the team gave him anything to really chase. I absolutely loved his tenacity in the first half. He looked, I think he looked a lot more motivated, man reborn kind of energy off the back of maybe he was a bit worried that was going to be a big injury, as we all were. He was absolutely closing Ortega down. He was a menace with his pressing. But we just didn't pass the ball to him. Every time we got the ball, we went to Isak. Every single time. And I just thought, give Gordon 2-3 passes. Just give him a go. Like, I appreciate that Isak's your big money striker, but you've got to play Gordon in a couple of times. It just wasn't fair. They were playing really bad overhit long balls to him and saying, go fetch. Like, it's just, I'll give him a 5, but I feel like he deserves more because it was great. Like, I loved what he was trying to do. Just nobody used him. So I think that was a team breakdown there.
Okay. Sam?
6. I really like how he can sort of just he could weave in and out of people. It was great at sort of anticipating positions in space, but again, like Alex said, he wasn't getting the opportunity because we don't actually naturally select him to pass to. We always go for Isak, who needs the ball serving on a server plate at the minute.
I'm going to give him a 6 because I'll tell you why. Because he's had a day and a half's training after what looked like a very nasty injury and ran his socks off again. This guy has shown more passion and commitment to Newcastle United this season than I've seen from a lot of players. And the fact that he went through a nasty injury last week, yet has got himself sorted, got himself back on the training pitch with a day and a half's training, and put that effort in last night. He was chasing Ortega down all the time. I agree with what's been said. The ball just wasn't played to him. It went to Isak. And I just think sometimes you've got to lay it off to Gordon because he's just as capable of scoring goals. So a 6 from me. Billy Bob.
The one time the ball was played to Gordon, Isak stepped across him, got in the way of it. It was absolutely horrific. I loved his running, loved his work. He knew we were kind of beyond the 8 ball most of the time, and it wasn't going to be down to him, for lack of effort. He did really chase the goalkeeper down, who I thought actually was fantastic with the ball at his feet, Ortega, despite all his pressure from Gordon. Yeah, I think 5's fair.
Okay. Right, we'll move on to Alexander Isak. And I'm going to start off with Sam because this may be a little bit controversial.
That doesn't sound like me.
Not at all. Go on then.
Do you know what? I'm giving him a 7, and I feel like I'm giving grace there because he is absolutely doing my head in at the minute. I just think everything that he's getting needs to be too clinical in order for him to be able to finish. I thought we saw some good stuff last week from Willock's passes in, but again, it's got to be spot on for him to do anything with it at the moment. I thought that he should have. It was going to be difficult for him the first one to get it in the back of the net, and I don't think he could have brought it down either. But I can't go higher than that.
I think you've been bloody generous there, Sam.
Me too.
I think you've been very generous. I'm going for a 4. I was appalled again. For me, I agree with what you're saying. Sometimes I think that he needs it on a plate, but again, you have to think about is he getting the service? Because we don't. But then you look at the balls that Jacob Murphy was putting in last night, and you think, where the hell is he to finish them? Again, it was about taking a gamble on the crosses coming into the box. I think Isak is a deadly finisher. I really do. But I agree with Sam. He can be one of those players that does your head in. Look at what the goal he scored against Chelsea last week was magnificent. Lovely flick through from Bruno. He takes it down, curls it in with his right foot. But you look at some of the other goals, you think, does he need it on a plate? But then you look back to last season, and you think some of the goals he scored were just worldies. So I just think he's not on his game at the minute, but I don't think he's playing in the right position. And I will say that when the cows come home, I don't think he's an out-and-out number 9. But I think this guy has got the potential to be an absolute star. But at the minute, we're not seeing the £60 million. Definitely not. But I just think I agree with Evermore there. His touch was abysmal yesterday. Bouncing off his feet. That opportunity that he had was it the second half, Billy, where he bounced it off his left foot. Just a terrible touch when he could have took a quick touch and had a shot. But I still yet to think, even though he's done some wonderful things for us, Isak, I don't think we've seen the very best of him yet. Alex?
I think that's a little bit harsh, even though I'm going to give him a 3. But I think that assessment's very harsh. I think you said he's been a little bit off it. He still finds the net a lot more than most people do in the
that's
league.
Not what we mean, Alex. We mean is that sometimes it's the goals he scored have literally been on a plate, like touched in from sort of 2 yards out and things like that. But he's very much capable of scoring world-class goals, as we've seen.
I think a lot of it's I don't think they've all been tap-ins. I'll have to check.
Not all of them, but some of them.
A lot of well-worked goals. But he's on 12 goals for the season from 20 appearances, and he's had injuries. So when he's fit, he's a 20-goal-a-season striker, and those aren't cheap. So especially in the Premier League, and he's 24, so he's got time to get better. But in terms of that performance, I'm going to have to rate it on what he showed us, which was getting his wires crossed with Miggy, Willock, and Gordon on 3 separate occasions. So it was poor link-up play. Shooting boots weren't quite there. The one shot on target, which I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It was a left-footed volley that he kept low and got on target. Not the easiest chance in the world, but frustrating not to score that. But it was a 3 based on what we saw. We didn't really get anything from him. He won a couple of reasonable physical battles, but lost a lot of physical battles as well. So if you're going to lead the line in the Premier League, you've got to be an absolute monster. And that's proof,
I don't think that's the kind of player.
I don't think he is an absolute monster. He's clinical. He's silky. He's got reasonable build-up and link-up play. He's technically gifted. I think he's maybe a false 9 or a 10 or a wide forward who needs to play with somebody, do something a bit different. Whereas he's not enough of a battering ram. Callum Wilson 18 months ago is that guy. He is an absolute battering ram. He will work his socks off, and he's got that ability. Callum, I don't think's got that anymore. I mean, that's just my opinion. Some people think he probably still does. But Isak, I don't think ever has had that. Any club he's been at previously, he's needed a bit of assistance. Like at Sociedad, he did have Kubo next to him, so he had some assistance sort of up front. He had somebody round him, and then David Silva just behind him as well to be creative. Whereas right now, he's not got anybody right next to him. It's just, you're up there, lad. Go and work it out. And I don't think Isak's got the material to do that. Like, I don't think we play the right system for Isak personally. But...
No. Billy?
I agree with all that. Yeah, he's definitely not a lone striker. However, he wasn't a lone striker yesterday. It's such. He did have Gordon around him, but he was taking Gordon's space. He was taking Willock's space. Touch weren't great. The volley, technically the volley was good, but he didn't get enough power behind it. Can't really fault him for that. But I mean, he's feeding on scraps all the time, and we saw against Chelsea that sometimes it works when he feeds on scraps. He gets goals, but you know you've got to give him proper service, and we just don't do it at the minute, and that's not his fault. But having said that, I thought his play off the ball weren't great. I thought his touch was awful, so I'll give him a 3 as well.
Okay. Sam, your 7's looking extremely generous now. Has Sam frozen? Either that or I'm getting the death stare.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you look like you're giving me the death stare there. I mean,
you froze.
Do you want to come out and back in again?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I thought, Christ, what have I said? Bloody hell. Right, well, what we're going to do with the substitutes, because we're pushed for time now, we're nearly an hour and a half in, so we'll rate quickly all 4. Well, all 5, but the 4 that came on first, that was, of course, Miley, Anderson, Almiron, and who was the other one? Lewis Hall, of course. So, Alex, those 4.
Hall 6, positive, really nice. I want to see more of him. I want to see him start. It didn't look like there was any issues there. Reports saying that he's not defensively ready to play for us yet. I mean, it's fine to me. Lewis Miley, same thing. Looks fine. I think he needs to start over an injured Joe Linton. Lewis Miley can get a 6 as well. Anderson, I'll give him a 6 because he looks a bit fitter. He's getting there, getting back. Gordon, it's not Gordon. Miggy came on for Gordon. Miggy gets a... I'll give him a 6 as well. I'll be nice because he tried to link up. He did play Isak in, and again, it's not Miggy's fault that Isak completely bottled that chance. I'll give 6s for the 4 that came on first.
Rotten. Billy?
Yeah, I'll give Hall a 7. I'll give Miley a 7. No, I'll give Miley a 6. I'll give Anderson a 7, and I'll give Miggy a 5.
Okay. I'm going to give Lewis Hall a 7, Miley a 7, Anderson a 6, Miggy a 5. I think that's pretty fair. I'm not sure where Sam is. I think she's got problems with her camera. Right, the only other sub therefore was Emil Kraft that came on. He wasn't on too long, but he looked all right. Are we just going to give him a 6?
Yeah, straightforward 6, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 100% of his 5 out of 5 passes and his only duel. So he won everything he did when he came on. So fair play.
Yeah. Sam, so you just come back, just all the substitutes. So we've got Miley, Anderson, Almiron, Lewis Hall, and Emil Kraft, if you want to vote for those.
Oh, Anderson, I'd probably say a 6.
Yeah.
Probably Miley about the same, actually, with a 6. Almiron, God bless his heart, 4. Hall, really, really encouraging performance, 8. Press, loved it.
Nice. Sarah says you're smashing that death stare, lass. Bestie.
How long did it take you to figure it out that I was frozen?
Well, the thing is, about 10 seconds, yeah. I asked you a question and then you were just staring at me. I thought, what the hell have I said? That's the stare of death. And then I realized that you weren't actually breathing. And I thought,
you should see when I am mad. Terrifying.
Well, let's hope we never do. Right. Finally, before we finish, Edward Howe. Billy.
Well, he changed the formation. I'm not sure he trained in it all week, which was odd. It looked alien to them. Team selection was rotten with Dan Burn at left wing back. The attitude that we went out with wasn't great. I thought we were trying to defend for 120 minutes and get penalties. And then once we went 1 down, then 2 down, didn't really change. So I'm going to give him a 2.
Okay. I wonder if he went to 5 at the back, when Livramento was confirmed out. I wonder if he'd gone with a 4 had Livramento been fit. Just a thought. Tangy says, stare of death. Come on, Paul. I've seen way worse than that. Jesus, I hate to see where you've seen that, Tangy. Alex?
I'll give him a 5. I'll go bang in the middle. I didn't like the personnel selection of Longstaff and Byrne. I think it just should have been Hall and Miley from the get-go. I liked certain tactical elements of the game. I liked that he put Bruno on Rodri. I thought Rodri was ineffective in certain areas of the pitch, in certain moments of the game. Later on, he was pulling a few more strings, but I think Bruno was more than capable of taking on that challenge. Few things worked tactically. 5, but a lot of things wrong with it as well, in my opinion.
Okay, Sam?
4, tip of the cap for trying to change the system and do something different. Rest of it, mark down. 5 at the back. I get what you were trying to do. Hit on the counter. Absolutely didn't work. I felt like we went there for the showing up medal. I would have rather, actually going for it and leaving it, which we didn't. So, yeah, that's my top for him.
Well, I've gone for a 3 because I think playing Dan Burn left wing back, it was an absolute disgrace. However, trying to go 5 at the back, trying something different, that's what we'd like to see. But again, he looks... I don't know about you guys, but Eddie Howe just looks extremely, extremely stressed on that touchline these days.
He would be.
But he would be, yeah, for what's going on. But look, I'm still in the Eddie camp. I'm still Eddie in. I want this man to be an absolute legend at Newcastle United. I would love our first trophy in God knows how long to be won under Eddie Howe. But I realise that some people have gone the other way now because of decisions that have been made. But I may criticize him, but I still think he can do it. I'm still willing to give him a chance. How long that chance goes on for, I don't know. But at the moment, I'd still love him to win something with us. But only time will tell on that one. But there you go. There it is. That is the match review all done and dusted for another week. Don't forget, Howie the Lasses will be on Wednesday. We'll have other shows, obviously, during the week. But we will be bringing you the Women's Cup final on Sunday because I believe that's going to be on Newcastle's channel, I believe. If it's not, hopefully they'll be able to get it somewhere else, and we will be doing a match day live for that. So there's a lot to look forward to coming up this week on the Toon Review, so get yourself subscribed. Right, the poll for man of the match. Any guesses, guys?
Bruno.
Probably Bruno.
Well, we had over 500 votes, and the viewers' man of the match is Lewis Hall. 37% of the votes. Bruno second on 33. Actually, that's gone up to 38 now for Lewis Hall. Bruno 33, Jacob Murphy 23, and 6.
Just voted for him because you're happy that you got to see him.
Yes.
Well, yes, absolutely. That
That's
he's actually real. So there you go. That is the viewers' man of the match is young Lewis Hall, and well done to Lewis. Hopefully, we'll see him again. But who knows?
Thing is, we go to a flat back 4. I bet you don't play him. I bet you don't.
Yeah, we'll shove him back under the rock until next time.
Back under his little rock, yeah. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you for your super chats and your new memberships and your gifted memberships. Extremely kind. Mods, thank you again. You've been awesome. Thank you, Billy, Alex, and Sam. But thank you again for letting me speak at the start of the show, guys. I had to get that out there. And thank you for your understanding in that. And it's been a great show. Thank you, everybody that's tuned in. And we will see you again very, very soon. But in the meantime, enjoy the start of your week, guys. And we'll see you soon. Good night.
Away the lads and lasses.
Come back and check on some breathing.